Welcome to this video on the Lysna model of the nature of change, which we call the road to change. Our study of people's attitudes towards change reveals a balance between resistance on the don't change side and motivation to change on the other. Changes in the external environment and shifts in people's attitudes cause ongoing movement from don't change to change. We call this process the road to change, with the key shifts in attitude represented by different characters we meet on the road. Let's start by looking at the resistance that keeps people on the don't change side. First of all, human beings like to have certainty in their lives. We are also deeply attached to what gives us security, which can come from the social relationships we have with family and friends, but also to our jobs, as they provide us with social status, money, contribute to our sense of personal identity, and help us feel valued and respected. And if we are happy with life and feel satisfied that our needs are being met, we won't want to change. Change also brings the risk of failure, as it can mean taking on new responsibilities, learning new skills, or having to change processes. And then there is the cost of change in terms of time, money, and the potential loss of status or security. We call a person with this attitude towards change the holiday maker, because they are perfectly happy with the status quo and see no reason at all to change. They will ask the question, why would I? They are the first character that we meet on the road to change. The first shift towards motivation to change happens when people start to experience problems with the current situation, which can be either external or internal, and replace the satisfaction with the present. The holidaymaker becomes one of two new characters, the sufferer or the blamer. The difference between the sufferer and the blamer is that the blamer sees problems that are external to themselves, either within the system or the external environment. The sufferer sees problems that are personal or that they take responsibility for within their team. In essence, the blamer abdicates responsibility and shies away from risk. The sufferer, on the other hand, takes on too much responsibility and therefore can feel overwhelmed by risk. What we have learned from our years of research is that people live with problems, and change requires a shift from a negative to a positive mindset. Here we meet the flame lighter, who has ignited a spark for change within themselves. This shift occurs because the flame lighter has taken appropriate ownership and responsibility for their part in the problem. To shift from a blamer to a flame lighter is often down to the problem getting so big that the blamer can no longer ignore their part in it, so they accept the need for change. To shift from a sufferer to a flame lighter is often about the sufferer being able to see a more positive view of themselves. Both of these shifts generate a positive vision for the future that replaces the certainty of the present and creates more motivation for change. The flame lighter has the vision, but they need to work out how to achieve it. This is where our next character comes in, who we call the route finder. They are the ones who get the map out and work out the viable options for action that will help achieve the vision in a way that reduces the cost or hassle of doing so. The route finder is a key character as they build the case for change and create the momentum to drive it forward, but they lack a key element, which is taking action to move things forward. The driver is the character who takes these action steps towards change and frees themselves from their attachment to the status quo. But beware, it is easy to think that you have a driver when you do not. This is because we have not addressed the final resistance on the don't change side, which is the risk of change. Somebody might be actively talking about taking action and taking responsibility for doing so, but if there is still underlying fear, doubt, or uncertainty about the risk of change, then the chances are that they will say they will do something, then don't follow through. If this is the case, then you haven't got a driver. Instead, you have a blusterer. The blusterer is a character who has learned that presenting themselves as a driver enhances their reputation and status in the organisation. But in reality, the risk to them of the change is so great that they won't follow through and the change will not happen. To move the blusterer towards change, they have to see that the personal payoffs or benefits to them of taking action will outweigh the risks. To summarize, we have taken you through the change balance, looking at what you need to build on the motivation side and remove on the resistance side in order to create movement. Our characters reflect the different attitudes towards change that we find along the road. The holidaymaker is on the resistance side, as they are perfectly happy with the status quo and see no reason to change. The sufferer and the blamer complain about problems with the present, which the flame lighter translates into a positive vision of the future, that the route finder then turns into options based on supporting strengths, and the driver takes it forward with action steps for change, provided of course that they don't become a blusterer, which you overcome by ensuring that there are strong personal payoffs for the driver to take action. So now is the time for you to reflect on where you see people in your organisation on the road to change.